All right, well, we're going to get started here. Thank you all for joining online and here in the room. I'll just ask if we can keep our voices down a bit here, just as we're getting started with the workshop. Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to introduce Paddy to you if you don't know him already. I mean, you've been here as part of the Institute community for a number of years, so I hope that most folks have had a chance to meet you already. But the Reverend Padraic Paddy Collins-Bohrer is a faith community inclusion specialist and chaplain with Heritage Christian Services in Rochester, New York, an agency that supports individuals living with developmental disabilities. You're also a priest in the Episcopal Diocese of Rochester, and he earned his Master of Divinity Degree from Colgate, Rochester. Oh, I don't even know how to say that.
Colgate, Rochester,
Crozer Divinity School, and Diploma in Anglican Studies from Bexley-Seabury Episcopal Seminary in Chicago, and a Bachelor of Science. That's not always a combination that you see. In Media and Communications from Medaille College in Buffalo. And Paddy's given me all sorts of fun words here to read, but I'm excited about this, which seems like a weird thing to say when you're excited about creation of grief teams, but I know just how desperately it's needed most of the time, but coming out of COVID as well, especially, there's so many just layers of grief and trauma that people have experienced, so I think we all have a lot to learn from you. Let's just give Paddy a warm welcome as we get started.
Thank you, Keith, for the introduction, and welcome, everyone. So happy to be here presenting, and my name is Paddy Collins-Bohrer, and I'll give a brief description of myself. I am about 5'7", middle-aged man. I have grayish brown hair and a beard. My hair is kind of thinning. I am wearing a purplish white checked shirt and black pants and black shoes. As Keith shared, I am a member of the faith community inclusion team at Heritage Christian Services in Rochester, New York, and the faith community inclusion team. We serve as chaplains. However, as our name suggests, we help to connect people that we support, both in residential settings and day programs, with faith communities of their choice in the Rochester area, plus more traditional chaplaincy roles. The presentation today, I'll be talking about a grief support initiative that our faith community inclusion team recently started about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, along with that I was part of when we started that. I've been with the agency about 3.5 years, with the director of our department, Lyda Merrill, who is also a person who's been to the Institute many times. And she was very sad that she couldn't be with us all today in person or online, but asked me to present and to share about our team with you today. We'll be sharing about the grief team that we have created, and our hope is that as we share about the work that we're doing in Rochester, that you might take some of these ideas and maybe bring them to your organization during this time as we're supporting people through grief, both at the end of life, through COVID, and through many other times of grief. So with that, we'll begin with the slides here. And so, what is grief? And there are many different causes of grief. Grief is the emotion that comes with loss and usually can be described through sadness. And on the slide here, we have several different areas of grief. Death of a family member or friend, when a pet dies. An area that we actually find quite often within Heritage Christian Services are when staff leaves. There's quite a bit of staff turnover, and we find that the people we support who build relationships with many staff are often sad when a staff person leaves. Grief can come at the end of a job, diagnosis of an illness, divorce from a marriage, ending of relationships, also anticipatory grief. And grief can last any number of time, either short time, long time, or it can be something that is very much ongoing. Our team is a group of people who come together to work towards a common goal to support an ongoing project. And in this case, our grief team is a group of people who gather to support the grieving of a person or people. And in the case of Heritage Christian Services, our grief team consists of our faith community inclusion team, which there are 5 members on the team. I'm one of 5 full-time chaplains with the agency, and it is such a delight to work in an agency that really supports faith and spiritual care of individuals, to have 5 full-time chaplains. And we found that we need additional support as well. So we have asked our creative arts therapists and speech therapists and also behavioral supports to be part of our team as well, to offer the support that's needed. So when someone's grieving, if we can bring the music therapist or dance therapist for movement, we find is often helpful. And so to talk a little bit more about Heritage Christian Services and the people that we are supporting. Heritage Christian, we have about 400 people who we support directly through both residential group home settings and also day program settings. We also have people in more independent living settings that we can support as well. So there's quite a few people. We think probably about 400 or so. The agency has about 4,000 employees altogether. That includes both direct support, professionals, and all throughout the different services that we provide. There are 5 faith community inclusion specialists. We have 100 sites. We are located. Rochester, New York is in upstate New York on the shore of Lake Ontario. We are between Buffalo and Syracuse. And we also have our locations in Rochester and about 25 locations in Buffalo as well. It's about 100 locations altogether. And so, as I had shared a little bit about before, we've found that we don't have, with just the 5 of us, we've found that it's not enough to provide the in-depth support during times of grief that we've found we would really like to have. So to bring in the additional members to help us provide that support, we've found is very useful. So again, these additional people, folks who help us out, are the creative arts therapists and the music therapists, and some of the other members of the clinical team as well. We have some of the behavioral health, behavioral support therapists as well. So being able to work together is very helpful for us. We have found, so to be able to provide the supports that we're able to support people who are at the end of life, and people who are grieving, who have grieving family members who are experiencing loss as well. We have quite a few people we support who are on hospice and at the end of life. And we also support many, many different types of grief. During COVID has also just been a difficult time. And I'll talk about a little bit later, one of the larger initiatives or programs that the grief team conducted was a memorial service for the 27 individuals who died during the 3 years of COVID. That as an agency, we were not able to celebrate and memorialize at the times of their death. So came together in both the Rochester area and the Buffalo area to provide beautiful memorial services for the individuals, and invited the entire Heritage Christian Services community to come to those services. We have a farm that we operate with a large space where people could gather in a beautiful area in the Rochester area, and also at one of our larger day programs in the Buffalo area. And so we also, in addition to providing support to individuals who live in our homes and also use our day program facilities, we also provide support for employees and help to connect employees with our EAP programs. And so this slide here, we're able to work together, and with the many different members of the grief team, we each have individual gifts and talents that we offer and share. So bring those, and so we're able to go out to the various locations and listen and be present with individuals. One of our faith community inclusion team members is a professional musician, and so he leads drum circles, and I also love playing drums as well. So the two of us will often go and lead drum circles with individuals. And so music, it's so much fun to play with individuals, and as I say, bringing in our music therapists as well. So we're always there to provide help people as needed and meet people where they are. And on this slide has a picture of some yellow flowers, and it has a butterfly, looks like a monarch butterfly peacefully sitting on one of the flowers in a green grassy background. We're able to, as a group, we're able to be together with the members of the team to provide the support that's needed and to provide different creative ways to provide that support. We are a multidisciplinary team, and we work together as that team to provide the support. And it's always really important to have members of the team to be together so that after we have helped somebody through grieving process, especially at the end of life, when we've been with someone who has died, to be able to come together and support one another in providing self-care and supporting one another. And so as the grief team, we are present with individuals. We go and we meet with individuals, and we are an interfaith team, so we honor the faith of the person and their loved one and their families. One of the individuals I supported most recently who had died, his family asked that we provide a memorial service for his friends and his family, specifically in the Heritage Christian Services community. And so he asked that we hold a small memorial service for him within Heritage Christian Services. We have an activity center with a gymnasium where we were able to set up chairs and a podium. And I asked, who would you like to lead the service? The family member, and actually his staff at the home, and they were the liaison with the family, and they said, well, we as the staff and the family would be honored if you, Patty, would lead the service for us. So I was able to put together a simple memorial service. The individual loved music and was a piano player and had worked with one of our music therapists playing piano together quite a bit. So as part of the service, shared music that the individual loved, and actually the music therapist had recorded music she had played with the individual, so that was played as part of the service as well as a beautiful memorial. We're able to honor the individuals and as a way to help people through grief, doing activities with individuals. Again, listening to individuals, communicating with people, meeting them where they are through the grieving process. If we're providing someone through a time of grief, when someone has died, we are always there to support both the staff at the home and the family. We most often will support staff. We find that many times we're finding staff have not experienced having individuals die, so that's a time to come and offer support, both the DSPs and the managers at the homes. We are able to provide the care. We communicate with one another. With one another, we have a communications through email and through Microsoft Teams, and we are supporting one another. The first folks who are often the first to respond are the chaplains or the faith community inclusion team assigned to the particular home, but then reach out and for the supports that are needed for each of us. And again, supporting each other through that process. Here we have a picture of individuals who are grieving, and this is finding hope together. And again, creating an agency-wide shared documents so that we're able to communicate where support is needed. And we also have to share about the grief team within our agency, which is, as I said, a little over 4,000 employees, so it's a very large agency. We've met with individual teams to share about our grief team initiative. I've been part of the 2 or 3 team members who've gone to talk about the initiatives with individuals, with the groups of the house managers, the assistant managers, the day program managers, and we have a few other groups that we'll be meeting with in the future. But our response has been extremely positive, and I would not say to our surprise, but we have certainly started to learn about people who are grieving that we had not known about. For example, we have found out about individuals we support whose brothers or sisters who have died that we did not realize, or whose parents had died. Also, many staff members have reached out to us through their house managers, saying that they had just experienced sudden loss, and wanted us to reach out to them, and so coming and supporting employees as well. Again, creating ways to stay connected with one another, and we have also supported documents to share, to educate our staff members around how to support individuals who are grieving through all the steps of grief and what that looks like, and letting them know that we are available to help through communicating with us. As I said, staff have reached out to us through a dedicated email address for us to reach out to them. Again, providing time of support, again, for during the time of COVID to recognize the individuals who had died during that time. And then also around Christmas time, realizing that the holidays are not always the happiest times, so times to be together and to express grief. Again, this is a picture here of some of the candles that we had in a memorial we set out from the service when we honored the 27 people who had died between 2020 and 2022 during that time of COVID, when the homes were not able to visit with one another. And again, talking about showing how we had come together as in that opportunity to share with one another the invitation there. And so during, it's now a time of just a time for questions and answers, and certainly can talk a little bit more about our program. So happy to share with you.
Wonderful. Well, we have some good time here for discussion and questions.
Yes.
I'm going to keep a little eye here on the chat too. If people online want to ask questions or even hop on and ask, you're welcome to do that. Oh, Sarah.
Patty, I apologize. After the several years I've known you, I didn't realize that this was your job. And we need to talk even more now. I also am a chaplain at a service provider and do much of what you're describing, except I am the grief team and would love to actually have a team and not be solo. So I'm like, yes, thank you. This is a super practical question, just because that's the world I live in most of the time. Do you, as an interdisciplinary team, do you regularly meet to check in with one another, or is there like just a kind of crisis or way that people can refer? Like, what does that communication look like?
Yes, great question. We do meet regularly. We meet once a month and check in, both regarding individuals who are in the hospital, on hospice, are experiencing challenging time, and then work towards the different programs we have. So we're meeting at least once a month, and currently, as we're finding more and more need, as we're getting the word out about our team, we may be meeting more, but at least once a month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and we'll go over to Sarah in a second. I think we'll turn to chat first for Zoom for Chantel's question.
Hi, Patty. Similar to the last person that spoke, where I work, Christian Horizons with Keith Dow, our spiritual care team consists of 2.5 people. And so I really love that you have integrated behavioral supports and I think you said a dance therapist and a music therapist into the grief work that you do. I think that's brilliant. I'm wondering what you would recommend in terms of like if the people such as dance therapists and music therapists are not part of the staff team, what would you recommend in terms of like collaboration with volunteers, or do you have ideas in that regard? Can I fake a music therapist? I don't think so, because my singing ability is subpar, but and my instrumental ability also subpar, but just wondering about strategies in terms of who to collaborate with if they're not part of the formal agency team.
Yes, thank you, Chantel. Yes, as far as individuals to reach out to for support, I would suggest reaching out to individuals who you feel would really embrace being part of this team and would offer the important supports that are needed. So the individuals that would work best in filling those needs, and I'm so excited to hear from a number of you that this type of program, or including additional folks, is helpful, as that's our hope, for the hope that Lyda and I have, that we can help share some of these ideas. So thank you.
Hi, Patty. My name is Sarah LaRose, and I am also doing this from the ground up. I work with a church, and my job is to build the what we call the care team, which we hope will be doing things like this, providing visitations and other things in times of need. And so I'm trying to be creative about recruiting volunteers. I'm wondering if you have suggestions of how to capture people's interest in this type of ministry.
A great question. I would say that, again, really inviting people to it's an opportunity to connect with people and to build relationships. And certainly, we come from the perspective of offering interfaith spiritual care, so connecting through that way. But again, I would suggest connecting with volunteers in the way that they feel most comfortable, again, at the core, to build relationships with individuals.
Wonderful. Okay, we've got another question here.
I'm wondering what kind of training you provide to the members of the team that maybe don't have the behavioral health and the ministerial background, or speech or whatever, what kinds of tips do you give them, or how intensive is that training?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have, again, through the relationship building and knowing that individuals, so for example, the creative arts team, those folks have seen how the individuals we support respond to music therapy or dance therapy. So really using that as an additional support. We have most recently, actually, one of the areas we're working on is providing more time of training and coming together as the music and dance therapists were the ones that came to us, the spiritual care team, saying we didn't expect to have 5 or 6 staff members come to us to say they had just experienced death in their family, and many of those deaths were quite traumatic. So they were prepared to respond, but weren't ready for the intensity of which the families came to us. But it was actually the clinicians, the arts therapists, who came to the spiritual care team, came to Lyda and me and said, it seems like we could offer beneficial support to you. How do you feel about that? And Lyda and I said, yes, we love that. So welcome. So we're working together on that. And I would say with that support, as I know from my clinical pastoral education experience, that opportunity to come together to kind of debrief is just so important, especially after very traumatic experiences and supporting traumatic experiences. So, other questions?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say if we do have time to work with, but we don't need to push it either. So we can always wrap up early, but if people have comments for Paddy or questions for Paddy, or even comments for one another to respond to questions you've heard, that's fine as well. So I'll give just a minute here in case any other thoughts, and then we'll wrap up. So, great, yeah.
Looks like we have a question over here.
Paddy, I was kind of in and out, and sorry I may have missed this, but what is the most common type of grief situation that you find yourself dealing with?
The most common grief situation right now is individuals transferring to hospice care and supporting staff in homes who have expressed that they haven't experienced an individual dying at home, and our nursing team advocates for individuals to have hospice at home as the most providing the dignity and respect for individuals. But again, working with the staff who then express that this is something completely new to them, oftentimes through communication and reflection together with family, they'll choose to the palliative care unit at the hospital, which our hospital in Rochester at Strong is quite good as well. But it's definitely moving to hospice is what we've experienced most.
Do you work with them in groups or individually?
We do, it's usually individually. We do sometimes work in groups. At the time when somebody moves to hospice, we bring the interdisciplinary team together. Oftentimes, that's initiated by the nursing team to bring individuals together, but we're always there to answer questions.
And something, I think it's beautiful that you use the music and the movement and like that. And a suggestion I would have that I use with my clients for the people that don't have the music therapist, for example, is some people find it helpful to kind of have a playlist to kind of help move through disbelieving, wishful music, angry music, sad music, hopeful music, to kind of help with that spiral process of moving through all the feelings, just to get a playlist of the kind of variety of feelings that are coming up, and just let the music help them kind of bring it up so they can let go of it. Or even physical things like a fecal labyrinth, if they aren't walking, and things like that can be helpful as well.
Yes, thank you.
I guess more of a comment. I just wanted to say I very much appreciate the tending to the staff, the caring for the caregiver, and how important that is. I sit on a mental health crisis team, and that's often what we're called in to do, is you're working with the people, caring for the caregivers. And I very much appreciate the tending to that and how you form the grief team.
Thank you. Yeah, we've found that so many of the individuals we are supporting are getting older, as we all are. So we're finding the majority of the people we support are over 60 right now. So
we have a question online here. Sarah's asking, when the remaining loved ones have intellectual challenges, what are some of your considerations when planning a memorial service?
So for the, working with the families, or is there more? So
I think, Sarah, you're welcome to clarify this as well, but my understanding was friends or loved ones who have intellectual disabilities, when you're planning a memorial service, what are some ways to plan that so that they can all be included and find that meaningful and significant?
Definitely providing different ways for individuals to participate through music and movement. We have definitely in some of the memorial events we've had some opportunities for butterfly releases, for example, but different, certainly for individual services, meeting people where they are, and to provide what is most needed for the individual families.
And then Chantel online.
Thanks, Keith. I suspect that many of us in the room are coming from agencies of different sizes and so on and so forth, and support systems of different sizes. And so I'm just wondering, I know you said you have a team of 5 right now and you're advocating for more, and I think that's excellent. Do you have any strategies in terms of time management or like service limits? Like, for example, is there a limited number of grief sessions that you'll provide, or how have you found your way around that?
Great question. So again, with the number of staff who have come to us saying we'd like support too. This is great. Certainly when that request comes, we honor the request and meet with the staff. But we're also realizing that to really set those boundaries, that we have other resources that can be offered, such as the employee assistance program and other staff supports to really work in relationship with those, because there is quite a need. So understanding where our boundaries are.
Excellent. Well, you can tell this sparked some good questions and comments and discussion, and I'm sure we could keep going for a while as well. But I see you've left your email at the end of the PowerPoint.
There's my email, and again, the hope is for others who would like to also focus on supporting people through grief, again, expanding teams. So I have left my email and also the email for Lyda Merrill, the director of our team as well.
Perfect. And then as a reminder, you can find those in the downloads folder too if you don't get it down quite in time. I know that for Christian Horizons in Canada, we've put together a proposal for how we can coordinate some of this grief work as a sector, because it's so significant, and having multiple agencies kind of come together. So I love that heart and that emphasis to equip others and to join and collaborate with others as well. So let's give Paddy a hand.
Thank you.